All right, we're going to Lloydminster, Canada. Sherri, speak your mind.
Hi, Bob. How are you?
Doing well, Sherri.
It's good to finally get through to you.
I'm so thrilled to have you on. And Sherri, Lloydminster, are you in, let's see, are you in Alberta?
Actually, we live on, we're the border city. Half the city is on Alberta and half the city is in Saskatchewan.
Too cool. Now, which half do you live in?
Saskatchewan. Actually, we live north of the city. We live on a small acreage.
All right. Well, welcome from Canada.
Well, it's good to talk to you. You'll have to be patient with me. I'm a little nervous to be discussing a very personal issue with you.
Well, we'll do that. Go right ahead, Sherri.
Okay. We've been watching you for about 2 or 3 months, and you've got such a wonderful black and white attitude. It's nice to see you have such a good approach.
Yeah, right and wrong.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
all these grays.
And we don't get too much of that up here in Canada. There's a lot of sugar coating going on, and so we've learned a lot watching your program.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to hear that, Sherri. You know, a lot of Christians buy into this liberal lie that, well, there are a lot of grays. Mm-hmm. How many times in the Bible does God say, you know, very few things are black and white, and most are gray? Mm. Does God ever say that in the... I have a whole expert panel here. Does he ever say that? Everybody's shaking their head no.
Well, I don't know. Every time somebody mentions gray areas, I always think of fog.
Yeah, that's good. Fog. And open-mindedness. You think of a trash can with the lid off. Yeah.
But anyway, a few years ago, I was living a very immoral life, and I ended up in the family way. Yeah. And it was a very terrifying experience for me. And the way it was, I decided to run from my problem and have the fetus surgically removed.
Oh, the fetus.
Yeah. And so I'd gone to, I had to go through a series of counseling before I could go through this procedure. Mm. And I asked, the lady said to me, well, you know, you're a nervous wreck and so forth and so on, and so we will give you the go-ahead to do this. And she says, do you have any questions that you would like to ask? And I says, well, I only have one question. And I says, will the baby feel any pain? And her jaw dropped. And she says, I've never been asked that question. As it turned out, regrettably, I did go through with it. But I take comfort in knowing that I'm a new creation, all old things have passed away.
Yeah, that's right. Sherri, you know, all of us, in my past life, and every now and then we talk about, you know, I'll basically describe what I did to destroy my family. Mm-hmm. And it's a painful, terrible thing. But I've done terrible, absolutely terrible things in my life, and many of us have. Everyone has done things that have hurt others, hurt themselves, and hurt God. So we all need to be forgiven by God. That's why we have to recognize it, admit it, like an alcoholic who denies they're an alcoholic. They're far from help. Mm. But once you admit your problems, the things you've done wrong, and once you admit you're a sinner, that you've hurt people. Some of us have killed people. Yeah. Others have been unfaithful, done so many terrible things to hurt one another. Mm-hmm. Crushing, painful things we've said. I mean, our words could cut into people. Mm-hmm. How we hurt one another. And if we don't turn to God and ask Him to forgive us, we're in big, big trouble. But once we do, and we put our faith in Jesus Christ and that God raised Him from the dead, it's a whole new, wonderful world.
Well, it's, you know, I'll see that baby in heaven, I know that, and I guess I'm being bold in the fact that I'm talking about this on national TV. Yeah. But if anybody is out there that is in that situation, I pray that they do not have a seared conscience. And it is the most horrible thing that a woman can live through.
Yeah, in this country, about 30 million Americans, 30 million American women have had abortions. Mm-hmm. So there are ministries designed specifically to help post-abortive women. And those ministries are, they've got, I recall one sprung up, and within a year or two, they had chapters in virtually every state in the country. Because there's millions of hurting women out there. And so she never answered your question about would the child feel pain?
No, she sloughed it off and quietly got me out of the office.
Yeah, and when she said, well, you're a nervous wreck, so we're going to do this, if, when you go for counseling at an abortion mill like Planned Parenthood, that's like going for counseling with somebody who's with an encyclopedia salesman to ask him if you really need this set. Could go for counseling, he's going to sell you. And Planned Parenthood wants to sell you. And if they cared about you, Sherri, that was elective surgery, right? Elective. You were not dying.
Well, it was like I was going in for a facial. It wasn't like I was going in to have my baby put to death.
Right.
It was, well, don't feel guilty, get on with your life. And it's something that I think about every day.
Yeah.
And
Sherri?
It's not a case as I'm in bondage of it, but it's
no, I
something
understand.
that you don't forget.
Sure, right. When, there are consequences to our actions, and we could be forgiven, but our life is always going to be different. Each time we make a decision to do the wrong thing, that takes away from what could be, the glory in our future. Now, God turns ashes into joy, and He does the most wonderful things. But let's say a Christian sins in any of 1,000 ways. He goes to a dirty movie, and then God forgives him. He's forgiven, and he goes to heaven. But who knows? Maybe a soul could have been saved during that 2 hours in his life if he didn't deliver his members over to sin, instead of if he presented his members, his body, to God in righteousness. So, Sherri, we're out of time. But I want to thank you so much.
Well, God bless your ministry.
Okay, Sherri.
Okay, bye-bye.
Call or write again sometime, and that's neat. We'll be right back.